Hi guys, and welcome back to the work.knits podcast. Gosh, I can't get my words out. That's because it's been a few weeks and I'm out of the habit of chatting with you guys. Yeah, I even had to watch back my last episode to remind myself what I had shown you, what I had knit by that point. Anyway, we are back. How have you been? I really hope you've been well. I hope you've got something nice to drink. It's Friday, happy summer. I'm hoping you've got good weather. I'm just sending you all the good vibes, guys. I really hope you're doing well. I have got a few things to run through today. I've got a couple of finished objects to show you. There's going to be a couple of whips that you've seen before and that it's just a little bit of progress. And then I was going to chat a little bit more about what I'm hoping to cast on. I'm about to go away this weekend with a friend. We're having just a real chilled reset, some quality time together, and I'm hoping to cast on a few things. So yeah, she's not a knitter, and she had a bit of a chuckle when I said I was packing my nano and going to be packing a load of knitting, and that was the bit I really needed to spend some time thinking about. But she's very supportive, so we're all good. Right, I'd really hoped to include some footage of me wearing my finished objects. I know that's something that off the back of my everything I knit last year and everything I knit in the first part of this year, I made two separate videos, and people asked, could I show my finished objects, like with me wearing them, with how I style them. Would love to do that for you. It's currently high 20s degrees Celsius here in England, so it's really just not the right weather for these garments. I managed to snap a picture of one of them that's over on Instagram if you'd like to go and check it out, of me wearing one of them when it was a little bit cooler. But yeah, I'll put some photos on Insta as and when I can kind of grab some time wearing them. Let's see. So let's start with knitty finished objects. So the one that I have put pictured on Instagram is my chroma sweater. So I didn't really, this bumpy bit around the sleeve from my pickup, that was on me, that's not on the pattern. That's my pickup rate and my gauge on the sleeves. I didn't manage to block that out too much. I'm not too fussed because I think the vibe for wearing this sweater is actually mainly going to be around the house, which is not, it's not because it's not good enough to wear out and about, it's just, well, let me talk it through in more detail. So, so this is the Chroma Sweater by Jacqueline C. Slack. Sorry, I jumped straight into analysing and didn't really give you info. Jacqueline C. Slack, if I'm pronouncing their surname correctly, Chroma Sweater, I knit the size 6 because my gauge was off. So I used my pockets as a gauge swatch, and I knit these several times because I just couldn't get the same gauge as Jacqueline. So I've ended up doing some maths, knitting the size 6. So my fabric is a lot denser gauge than the fabric that she knits. She knit hers up in a worsted weight yarn. I've knit mine in a DK. I think I ended up knitting mine on 4.5mm needles. 5mm just ended up too loose. I didn't like the fabric. Yeah, those are the main deets. I ended up using up a number of skeins that had been in my stash for a while. I knew kind of I wanted to use them in a sweater. They were kind of DK weight, but they weren't quantities where I could use them as the background colour, the main colour for a sweater. But they were kind of a bit too much just to use as kind of a contrast in a yoke. So really delighted to be able to use them in this sweater. It's kind of ended up quite stripy, which I love. This top colour here is not stash, this is my own hand-dyed yarn. If you are new to this video, I have started a hand-dyed yarn company focusing on affordability. There'll be a link below if you'd like to check out my yarn. This is my natural DK base, which is 100% Highland wool. It's super soft, but beautifully natural, and this is the colourway Thunderstorm. This white here and the dark beautiful grey, these are both from Marina Skewer, the very talented hand dyer, and they're both on her Mendip DK base, so local to me here in Somerset. And then this kind of beigey stony colour and this gorgeous kind of coppery colour are both Sandnes Garn Perfect, which is an 80/20 merino nylon wool that I've had in my stash. So yeah, what else? I edited the depth of the arm front and back split. I made that shorter than even the smallest size in the pattern. I just knew what I wanted was, I wanted a sweater that I could throw over any outfit. So I wanted the neckline to be quite wide so it would accommodate whatever I'm wearing underneath. I wanted it to be really loose on the body. I'm picturing those days where, you know, you just want to be comfy. You're not really caring about how you look. So I wanted something really loose, really comfortable, but then I wanted the sleeves to be tighter. because sometimes with these drop shoulders, you can end up with quite like a bat wing effect. Didn't want that. I want to be able to use my arms, picture me hoovering, washing up, dyeing yarn, whatever. So that's why I made the kind of armhole opening section a lot shorter. I don't think I messed around too much with the shoulder shaping, apart from that the pattern calls for a flat 3-needle bind off, and I just did a normal 3-needle bind off. For me, that just added like a detail on the shoulder that I liked better. I didn't really follow instructions for the neckline, like pick up and collar. I just kind of picked up what I wanted. I did it stripy in 1x1 rib, and then did an Italian sewn bind off. On part of the neckline that looks beautiful, on the other part of the neckline it's a stitch out, which I kind of knew as I was doing it, but I just couldn't really be bothered to rectify. And it stretches and looks fine just the same, it's just not quite as beautiful as the other side. So actually, ironically, I think it's the back that's done really nicely and then the front is not. It's just because of where I've done a couple of decreases, and I'm not giving the pattern away because I didn't follow the pattern. I did a couple of decreases here at the shoulder part of the neckline on each side to make sure that it sits nice and flat and it doesn't kind of stand up. And that altered the stitch counts, which then when I came to bind off, didn't work. So yeah, that's that. I feel like I'm speaking at a million miles an hour, but I don't think there's that much more to say on this. I'm really quite chuffed with it. It's not my normal go-to colour palette. I have not historically been that great at knitting like neutral things, but I really love it, and I've had so many compliments from people on the colour combination, so really chuffed with that, because there was a point, and I think I probably discussed it on the podcast here, there was a point where I really thought the jumper would look a bit, I didn't want it to look scrappy, even though that's ultimately what I was doing, was using scraps. I wanted it to look very intentional, the placement of the colours, and there was a point where I was really worried that wasn't going to happen. So I'm delighted with the output. So that's one. Right, I've already been talking for, gosh, like 7 minutes, and we've still got loads to cover, so this might be a little bit of a longer episode than normal and planned for these weekly updates. But hey, it's been 2 weeks, so... Oh, and I've dropped something on the floor. Right, my next finished object is kind of a bit of a cheat, because ironically, I've done less on it since the last episode. Okay, we have had quite a saga here on the podcast for my terracotta sweater, which is a design by Leanie Home Sampso, if I'm pronouncing their name correctly, also known as work.knits. They've also done the porcelain sweater, which I know some fellow podcasters that I love, like Anne of my North Knit Corner, she did a porcelain sweater recently. They're really beautiful colourwork patterns. They kind of combine minimalism with elements of detail, because the colourwork it's over the whole sweater, but it's in stripes with just plain texture or even plain stockinette. So the overall effect is kind of not too overwhelming. It's kind of got traditional but modern chic. I like it. Way back when I cast this on, earlier this year, there was a size inclusivity convo. I'm not going to repeat that now, but if you're interested about my thoughts on the size inclusivity of this pattern, feel free to jump back. I will try and link it up here if I can remember. But I ended up casting on the smallest size, which was not going to give me very much positive ease. And you'll be able to see from me waving it around here, my decision has been that I'm not going to add sleeves. So I'd picked up for one of the sleeves by the last episode. The gauge was all off, that wasn't working, so then I ripped back to retry it, to redo the sleeve. I'd been really struggling to get my motivation to do the sleeves. I kind of was going to do them plain, and then I was like, that doesn't quite look right, but I couldn't quite motivate myself to do the alternating colourwork and texture. And anyway, my husband just said, try that on for a second, now that I've ripped the sleeve off. And he was like, that looks so good as a slip over. So I was like, maybe he's right. And then I tried it on, I washed it, blocked it, tried it on with some work trousers and stuff, and it looks really good as a slip over. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, quite literally. I might, the armholes are kind of naturally, the sides are kind of rolling just ever so slightly, so I could just leave it as it is. I might just tack those down to kind of give a nice finished edge. But I'm going to leave this exactly as it is. I picked up and did my own neckline. I didn't follow the instructions in the pattern. I was thinking about making this a double folded, but actually without the sleeves and stuff, this neckline gives the whole thing kind of a delicacy and kind of balances it. I think if I did a double folded neckline, which is the trend obviously at the moment, I actually think it would make the whole thing look quite heavy. I've also done a little modification on the bottom, so I've done a split hem, but I've actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera, but I've actually like overlapped my split, kind of can see there, so that it's not just all pulling on one stitch. And what else? I've done my signature edging to my ribbing, which I just think looks beautiful. And my yarn, oh yeah, yarn and needles. So I knit this on 4mm needles. The yarn is, the main colour is Holstgarn Super Soft off a cone in the colourway Ecru. It looks quite cream when you're first knitting it, but then when you wash it, it comes out far more white and clean. And then the red-y orange, I don't know how much of the orange you can see on camera. There's a bit. The colourwork contrast colour is a ball of Camarose Midnat Sol, which is their kind of like fluffier yarn. It's not quite a mohair. I haven't got the composition to hand. And then I held it, that was in the shade red, and then I held that with a Ficalana Arwetta hank of bright orange sock yarn. So that is the contrast. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with this. I'm really excited to wear it this autumn. I think it's going to be really perfect for those transitional seasons. And I think the other thing it's going to be really good for is undercoats. Like if you're out and about quite a lot during the day, sometimes having a full colourwork jumper with sleeves, the sleeves don't really fit in your coat, whereas this is going to give the look of colourwork, but I don't have to accommodate the sleeves. Really, really happy. So I will get photos of this, do a little bit of a video of me trying it on, hopefully in kind of next week's episode or as and when the weather cools down a little bit, but there's no point me filming footage for you where I'm misting over with heat. So those are my 2 knitted finished objects. Right, I have got a few more finished objects on the spinning side. If you're not into spinning, feel free to skip over. I won't spend the same amount of time on my spinning. I will just give high level info, but I have got a number of finished objects spinning wise. I've not quite been managing to follow on along with the Tour de France and the Tour de Fleece, so I've kind of lost track of which was spun on which days. But on my little nano, I have spun up 50 grams of this beautiful Ryland fibre from the Woven Brayer. This was, as I say, spun on nano, so this skein is 20 grams, this skein is 18 grams, and this skein is 14 grams. I wasn't quite, I mean, I could have just joined them all together as I put them on the Niddy Noddy, but wasn't quite there yet. This is, I think they're all kind of a DK weight. I think I'm operating on average at around somewhere between 210 and 225 meters per 100 grams for these, so they're kind of ballpark the same. My natural spinning across most fibres seems to land me at about a DK. This fibre in particular, quite a springy, like the staples are very, very curly, but it was really beautiful to spin because the fibres really gripped together, so not too much kind of breakage as I went, if there wasn't enough spin going in. And yeah, they're just a 2-ply. So that's that whole little bundle there. And then, this is probably my proudest spin to date, guys. I'm really happy with this. So please excuse my nails, I've been doing some DIY and I've tried to scrub them, but unsuccessfully in part. This is my proudest spin to date. This is also on the nano. This is exactly 100 grams. This fibre is unknown fibre content, but from Lay Family Yarns, and it's this beautiful braid. I picked up 2 of them last year at Wonderwool Wales. So I spun this on the nano. I spun my singles finer than I've ever spun singles before. And plied, I think, really quite consistently. There's only like 1 or 2 places where I've overplied. There's only 1 place in the whole skein where I've underplied, which is really unusual because across all my other spins I've always had sections that are underplied and underspun. Now I thought, because I'd spun my singles so fine, I really thought this would end up at a fingering weight. I was really excited. And I'm a bit confused, to be honest, because volume wise and like feeling it in my hands, it looks like a kind of heavy fingering sport weight. It definitely doesn't look DK, but the numbers coming out as DK. So in 100 grams I've done something like 250 meters. So yeah, it's like a light DK, which is so annoying. I really wanted to have done a fingering weight. Oh well. The barber pole on this is really beautiful. Really, really love it. It's just so pretty. So I have a tiny bit of this fibre left over, and I have a tiny bit of a single where I had too much single to ply, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to spin up the rest of the fibre, and then I'm going to separately spin up a load of some other top I've got in a kind of dark red with pinks and oranges going through, and then I'm going to ply those two singles together. So I'm really excited about that. And then I can create a fade with this, that other yarn I'm going to spin, and then a skein of my chili jam colourway on Highland 4-ply, which has got bits of kind of orange and pink in it as well. So I think that's going to be a really beautiful fade when we've got that one in the middle. So that's that. Right, guys, I'm going to give you a very quick lowdown on whips. So first whip to chat about, I have made some progress on my Maggie cardigan by Petite Knit. Really love this knit. It's not very portable because I'm doing it off a cone and multiple different balls, but I've added 2 sleeves, 1, 2, and I'm just hurtling down the body. So some really good progress here. I think I probably need to add on another kind of, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches to the body, maybe 3, and then do a decently deep rib, and then it's just going to be putting the button band and neck band on. I bought some really gorgeous buttons, so I'm really hoping this could be finished for the next episode. I'm knitting size medium using 3.5mm needles. Yarn is Sakami Yarns. They've got like a baby Surrey yak silk merino blend, and then I'm holding it with 2 strands of cobweb lightweight almond coloured yarn from Knoll Yarns. I have also picked up my George's sweater again because I was on a bit of a roll with long-term whips. I have now knit quite a chunky amount of the sleeve. So I'm just going to keep going on this. Once I finish this sleeve, I think I've probably got about 4 to 6 inches left on this sleeve. I want quite a long sleeve. There's no rib on it, so it's just going to be an I-cord on the end. So that's the other reason it's going to be longer. And yeah, I think I've probably got another like 4.5 inches to knit. I-cord, do the other one, and then an I-cord all around the body. So that's progressing nicely. 5mm needles, second size, and knitting for olive yarn. I think that's it. Bottle green in the mohair and the 4-ply merino. And then I've done, sorry, I keep dipping down. Then I've done a little bit of work on this hair tie that I'm knitting up in my chili jam colourway on my natural 4-ply, so that's progressing nicely. We'll obviously have points at both ends. Knitting that on 2.25mm needles, just kind of self-drafting that. And then, sorry guys, I'm really rattling through, but I would like to talk to you a little bit about things I'm going to cast on this weekend. Really beginning to plug through this very crumpled. This is my summer top design that I'm still working on. This band will go around your bust line, and then various bits are going to be added in a modular fashion. It's knit as a tube, so you get a double knit fabric, and as always this yarn is not doing itself justice on camera. This is knitting for olive pure silk in the colourway olive, and it comes up very dull on camera, whereas actually it's got a real beautiful sheen and lightness to it in person. I'm knitting this on 2.5mm needles. The idea is that the design can be worked on sock needles, and it's going to be a kind of asymmetric one-shouldered and bardoed top. So yeah, bring some of my tailoring skills in. I'm really excited. So this is progressing. Just as a reminder, that's where I finished the first ball. So I've made decent progress on the second ball for around my bust line. More to come. Right, I think that is the whip down. I think I'm happy with that. Let's pull up, whilst I'm chatting to you, some of the other patterns that I'd like to cast on. And I'm really excited. Sorry, notifications going off on my phone. I'm really excited to get these cast on because I've been trying to clear the needles a little bit before I go into these in more detail and start casting them on. So the first pattern I'd like to cast on is the, what's it called? It's the Lily Top by work.knits, who is a French designer. I will try and put this on screen as well. It's got these beautiful ties down the back. It's kind of a sleeveless summer top. It's meant to be knit up in Aran weight yarn. They've used Wool and the Gang, and on 6, 5 and 4.5mm needles. I think I'm going to use my Smooth DK base, which is a Superwash Merino DK in the colourway Rose Gold, so very similar to the colour the original sample was knit up in. I've had my eye on this for ages. It's in the shop, I've got 3 skeins of it, and I kind of thought someone might nab it, but no one has, which is fine, because I'm gonna nab it. So if on the off chance you've been looking at this for a while, please go and nab this in the shop ASAP, because otherwise I am going to grab it and there won't be any more of it until I do my next kind of big dye day. I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to do that. I have always said I kind of want the shop to be consistently stocked. At the same time, it's the middle of summer and I know not everyone's not everyone's knitting quite as much. So we'll see. But anyway, I absolutely love this colourway. It's Rose Gold is the perfect name for it. It's just pink with this kind of gold warm undertone. Yeah, so 3 skeins of that should work for me if I get my gauge swatch right. The other thing I really want to cast on is the coffee cardigan. Now I'm just going to see if I've helpfully put this in my queue. I bet you I haven't, but I'd be really keen to, oh, I have Martine Jacobson coffee cardigan. Now I don't know how we're going to be able to see, so I'll try and put pictures on screen, but it's essentially an alternating garter and rib v-neck cardigan. It's knit up in DK, it's a lace plus light fingering, 4.5 and 3.5mm needles, available in English, Danish and Norwegian, and comes in 9 sizes. So yeah, I'm really keen on that. I think it would be the perfect thing for my wardrobe. The Maggie cardigan's far more fitted, that would be a looser cardigan. I don't really have any loose cardigans in my wardrobe. So there's those 2, and then I really want to cast on this all over colourwork steeped cardigan as well. So I'm evidently on a bit of a cardigan kick. The steeped one's going to be quite nice though, because it's got the benefit of working in the round all the time. Knitting flat, not my favourite. So I really do feel like I've been speaking at about 1,000,000 miles an hour. The other thing I was going to try and include in this episode was I was actually going to show you some of the progress on the bathroom upstairs, bit of reno work progress update, because I know I keep talking about it. It now is finally looking like a room. We've had the first fix from the plumbers, all the plasterboard's going up. So by this weekend, it should be in a position where I can then start doing all the tiling and the painting and all that kind of stuff, which is so exciting. So yeah, we're on track to have that finished kind of over the next month or so, which is really, really exciting. I've got some other bits and pieces going on in the background, which is part of the reason that I missed the episode last week. It's meant I've not been knitting as much as I'd like. I will share those bits with you as and when they kind of come to fruition and come whole, if you see what I mean. That things are all a little bit up in the air on those at the moment. But yeah, lots of really good things happening over here and I really can't wait to start sharing. So I am good, guys. And as I said at the beginning of the episode, I really hope you are too. Really hope you're enjoying the summer. Hope my whizzy little download on what I've been up to gives you some source of inspiration, whether it's you want to cast on the same things or whether it gives you inspiration for something else. It sparks some ideas. Either way, it's fantastic. Do let me know down below in the comments what you're casting on. And with that, I will wish you a very, very good weekend. Please do keep in touch over on Instagram. I've been really enjoying the interaction over there. And if not, I will see you here next week. Cheers, guys. Bye.